I am grazing these animals every single day now. I just got them back on the grass. You know, like if you ever take a look at a farm, you know, if the farm that you're looking at looks like mine, they're probably making a lot of money. You know, this is the thing that, you know, like if you look at my farm, I make a lot of money. And instead of saying I make a lot of money, here's the reality of my situation. If you run my numbers, I got a check coming in here tomorrow, right? I got a check coming in tomorrow. And if you run my numbers, you're going to understand that over about the last 45 days, I made about $20,000 cash. That's how much cash I brought home. I brought home about $20,000 cash in the last about 47 days. If I get my check tomorrow and, I get my check tomorrow and then, but if you run my numbers, you're going to realize that over the last 47 days, I made just a touch over $20,000 cash. That's how much cash I brought home, just over $20,000. And I still have all of these animals. These animals are all still going up in value. And this is what I mean by I make about $12,000, $14,000 a month. I make about $12,000, $14,000 a month, and then if you add the appreciation value of my assets, I make somewhere between probably close to about $20,000, about $250,000 a year. I make about $250,000 a year. And here's the thing, you know, I got 39 animals, right? I got 39 animals. I still have 39 animals. I took 8 animals to market, and I still have 39 animals. I could sell 4 animals every month for the remainder of the tax year, just about. You know, I got 11 months to go. If I sold 4 animals every month for the remainder of the tax year, I would be making, you know, $12,000, $14,000 cash every single month. For the rest of the year, I would be making that much money. And, you know, the big thing is that, you know, okay, so, you know, I have the amount of cash that I bring home. I talked about this in great detail yesterday, but I have the amount of cash that I bring home yesterday. Or excuse me, I talked about, you know, I got the amount of cash that I bring home. Then I also talked about my asset portfolio, right? I also talked about my investment portfolio. This is what I mean by, you know, this is my investment portfolio, right? I talk about my investment portfolio all the time. And the investment portfolio is essentially assets that I am appreciating in value at a cost that is less than what I get for them. So if I get $1,800 for the animal and it costs me $1,100 to raise the animal, then the $700 in between is the money that I get to keep. I've talked about this repeatedly, right? The answer's not going to change. It's the same answer forever into infinity and beyond. And, you know, and if the answer does change, I will let you know. So, you know, if you are having an extreme amount of difficulty remembering basic information, then you should probably write it down. You should write down the question and write down the answer. I am flat out giving you the answer. I am not asking for your opinion. If you start going off into default moron mode, oh, well, Billy Joe Bob told me that you're wrong. Billy Joe Bob thinks that I'm right. And, okay, here's the thing. Okay, if you are in one of the 3 categories, if you are broke, if you have no money, if you have no retirement, if you are in one of these 3 categories, or number 3, if your family is having difficulties because you are so poor, then you should probably do something about it. And I've talked about this repeatedly too, right? You don't need a set amount of money to be rich. You don't need $10 million to be rich. You don't need $1 million to be rich. You do need to have enough money to where you don't have problems because you don't have money, right? And if that means you make an extra $1,000 a month, then make an extra $1,000 a month. You know, if it means that you need $2,000 a month, then go and make an extra $2,000 a month. You know, you should focus yourself on making a little bit of extra money, or the extra money that you need. You know, the moment you hit that threshold and you cross the threshold, because a lot of people don't understand. I think a lot of people don't understand the thing about money is that, you know, I've talked about this repeatedly too, right? Like, you don't need a set amount of money to be rich. And I've told you, I've said this repeatedly. I'm not suggesting that you go and try and do what I do, because if you go and try and do what I do, you're going to figure out that this is almost impossible and you're not going to be able to do it. And then you know, especially if you are an I fell out of heaven to 7, if you are I fell out of heaven to 7 and you legitimately believe that you could just do this, like you legitimately believe that you could just wake up tomorrow and do this, and you are I fell out of heaven to 7, you're going to lose all your money. I mean, you just are. But this is what the sorghum Sudan grass looks like right now, you know, and the animals, I got them out on it and they're chewing on it, and the grass in the back is coming in real good. And so this is what the sorghum Sudan grass looks like right now. And I got them out on it. You know, I figured if I have to replant the entire front field, if the cattle legitimately stomp the entire field into the ground, if they stomp the entire field into the ground, for me to replant all of this grass, it's going to cost like $200. It's not a big deal, right? Planting, you know, grass seed. If I need to go and buy, let's say I need to reseed my field, like I seeded this field at about 125 pounds an acre, and I got about just under 2 acres in the front, and so it costs $200 to replant the entire field. This entire field of grass in the front, all of it, cost about $200. If I had a holy book in front of me, I would put my hand on the holy book, and I am telling you the truth. It is more or less the truth. It is 90% so, 90% or more correct. I mean, maybe it cost me, maybe it cost me $212, right? I mean, I don't know the exact amount that it cost me, but it cost me just about $200, and the amount that I'm incorrect is irrelevant. If it cost me $212.82, then it doesn't matter. It's about $200. If it cost me $194, if it cost me $191 and 48 cents, if it cost me $191.48, it's not going to matter. The 5-10% that I was incorrect is irrelevant. The whole field of grass, I can plant, this 2 acres of grass will feed about 40 cattle, an unlimited amount of food. They can legitimately sit out here and eat as much as they want. I mean, if you want to go and take a look at it, I mean, I'll show you all the grass. I mean, the grass is coming in real good. There's some weeds coming in right now because of the, but it's okay. But when the sorghum Sudan grass, when it gets taller, I mean, when the sorghum Sudan grass gets taller, it will shade out the weeds. And so it's okay. The sorghum Sudan grass, at least it's growing, and so it'll be fine. I mean, the animals have legitimately an unlimited quantity of grass that they could eat. I mean, and the feed values of the grass, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. When it comes to animal feed, fresh grass, grain, it doesn't matter what they're eating. You're going to have to use the same parameters for everything. 65 TDN and 12 to 14% protein. It doesn't matter if we're talking about, a total mixed ration or fresh grass. I mean, if you're feeding them fresh grass, go on the internet and look it up. What are the feed values of sorghum Sudan grass, BMR sorghum Sudan grass, when the grass is in the early stage of development? I mean, go on the internet and look it up, and you can find, hundreds of papers, thousands, possibly even tens of thousands of papers on the information that they collected on the feed values of sorghum Sudan grass. I mean, the answer's on the internet for free. Don't sit there and go, oh my God, I was born with the answer, and the answer is that I was born with it. Don't do that. If you do that, I mean, it's too late for you. I mean, a lot of times so here's the thing, right? Like, you hear me talk about this all the time. If you're poor, there's a reason you're poor. Right, and I'm not saying that to sound like a dick, but I mean, if you're poor, there's a reason you're poor, and that reason you're poor is also the reason you are poor today is probably also why you are going to be poor tomorrow and poor for the eternity of your life, and more than likely you are going to end up in one of these 3 categories. You are going to end up in, you don't have any money, you don't have a retirement, or your family is actually having difficulties because you are so poor. Legitimately, you will end up in one of those 3 categories. A vast majority of people will end up in one of those 3 categories, if not multiple, right? And so, legitimately, if you are in a situation, and I've talked about this repeatedly, but you don't need a set amount of money to become rich. You don't need a set amount of money to become rich. You don't need $10 million to become rich. You don't need $1 million to become rich. You don't need 100 grand to become rich. You don't need $1 billion to become rich. If you have more money than you could ever use in your personal life, then you are rich. The moment you hit that, you are now rich, But that's the thing. This is what I'm talking about, the character aspect of money. It's like, if you have a lot of problems, you are essentially losing all of your money because you have a lot of problems. Then if you make more money, your problems will just get worse. And the analogy that I used was, if you're an alcoholic, right? If you're an alcoholic and you're like, oh my God, I can't buy alcohol because I don't have money. I can't buy alcohol because I don't have money. That's my problem, is that I don't have money. Well, if I gave you the money, you would probably just go and buy more alcohol, and then you're screwed. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the character portion of money. Like if I gave you, let's say, and this is also what I mean by, you know, this farm right here, it costs me about $750 a month. And I make, I make about a tenfold on that, that $750 a month, and I make about, I probably make about a tenfold. I probably make about $7,500. I mean, for that $750 investment, I make over $7 grand. And, money's not up for debate. It doesn't matter what you think. Money's not up for debate. Either you have the money or you don't. And if you don't, then, I mean, maybe you should think about making some money. I mean, if you legitimately are in a situation where you have zero money, like you are legitimately broke, or you have no retirement, or your family is legitimately having problems because you are so poor, then maybe you should go and make money. I mean, maybe just even, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be, I'm not like a toolbox, right? I'm not telling you that you should go and make $10 million. I'm not telling you that you should go and make $1 million. But if an extra $1,000 or an extra $2,000 a month would legitimately like correct all of your problems, granted that you don't, like if you have some major issue, like if I gave you $2 grand right now a month, if I gave you $2 grand a month right now, and you just continue to turn it, and you just continue to have a massive amount of problems, then it doesn't matter how much money you have. I mean, you need to take a good look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I, why am I so poor, right? I mean, ask yourself. I mean, it's obvious. Most of the time it's obvious, right? Like if you are poor, it's going to be very obvious why you are poor, right? I mean, most of the time but I mean, there's also the thing about denial, right? A lot of the times, like, like let's say we got a drug addict, right? Let's say we got a drug addict. They're on drugs. They're kind of, they're on drugs and they're in denial. They're not willing to accept that they are on drugs, right? They're, they're a drug addict and they're just unwilling to accept it, right? I mean, they're taking pills and whatever, right? And they're in denial. They're in complete denial. They don't want to accept that they're on drugs. And and now instead of saying drugs, let's just say the thing that you are spending all of your money on, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be drugs. The thing that you are spending all of your money on is the thing that is keeping you poor, right? And is it really a necessity in your life? Is it? And if it is, then you should find a way to make more money. I mean, that's the long story short, right? Like if you're on drugs, maybe it's a good time to accept that you're on drugs. And instead of saying drugs, whatever your money problem is, maybe it's a good time to accept it. Maybe it's a good time to just take a look at it and go, man, I do have money problems. And once you accept it, now you can move forward. And I'm not being a toolbox, and I'm not telling you to go and make $10 million. I'm not telling you to go and make $1 million. I'm saying if an extra $1,000 or an extra $2 grand a month would drastically improve your life, then maybe it's a good idea to figure out, how am I going to make a little bit more, or how am I going to make that money? How am I going to make an extra $1,000, an extra $2,000 a month? How am I going to do that? And if you wanted to do it by farming, then you should probably be watching me. Or somebody, and here's the thing, you don't have to watch me. You can choose whoever you want to watch. If you find a better farmer than me, go and watch the better farmer. But don't go and watch Billy Joe Bob. If you go and watch Billy Joe Bob, he's not going to know what he's doing. And then you're going to end up broke just like he is. And poor rubs off. I don't like saying it, but I mean, let's just accept reality for what it is, right? I mean, poor rubs off, rich rubs off. And this is the thing, if you just absolutely disgust, do not like me for, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be honest. If you died tomorrow, I wouldn't even know. I mean, but go and find somebody that you believe. Okay, here's the thing. It's like, this is what I mean by rich rubs off. Don't go and poor rubs off too. If you're poor and you go, oh my God, and you find the worst rich person that you could ever imagine, like they are a horrible person, just a horrible person, and they're also rich, and you go, oh my God, look at this rich person. This rich person, he is rich and he is also a horrible person, right? He is rich and he is also a horrible person. I freaking knew it. Rich people are horrible. Rich people are the scum of the earth, right? And if that is what I mean by, if you are poor, that mindset is being poor. Go and find somebody who you think is a halfway decent person and who is also extremely rich. If you look at a person and you go, this person is kind of okay, like I honestly think that this person is kind of okay, and they are also extremely rich, then go and watch them. You know, go and watch rich people. Do not go and watch poor people. I'm telling you, poor rubs off, and so does being rich. If you have the opportunity, and you do, I mean, we are in a world now where you could do practically whatever you want. I mean, you have unlimited amounts of information at your fingertips. You can legitimately get on the internet and learn anything for free. You legitimately can. I mean, you know, but if you are poor will rub off, and so will being rich. And if you are poor, then, you know, the big problem is that you are in a microcosm of a universe that encourages you to also be poor. You more than likely are. The reason you probably the reason you ended up poor is probably because you ended up in a microcosm of a universe that encouraged you to be poor. Like, nobody, you know, ever encouraged you to be rich. You know, nobody said, you know, if you do this and, you know, here is actually something you could do to become rich. And rich is not a set amount of money. Once you hit a certain threshold and you pass that threshold, then you are now rich. You are essentially rich immediately. Effective immediately, you have more money than you could ever use. But if you have a massive amount of problems and you go and make money, your problems will just get worse. I mean, you know, and when you look at my farm, and this is what I mean by, you know, if you should watch rich people all the time. You should not be going around trying to hang around poor people. They are poor for a reason. You know, and if you find a rich person and you go, oh my God, you know, and you go around and you look for the worst rich person that you could ever imagine. If you go around and you look for the worst rich person that you could ever imagine, I could find you an equally poor person that is just as bad. I could, and I could say, oh my God, look at poor people. Poor people are the scum of the earth. I could say that too about poor people. You know, go and find somebody who's rich, extremely rich, like the richest person that you have ever seen, the best that you have ever seen, and then go and watch them legitimately. And then if you go, okay, this person is also a halfway decent person, then go and watch them. You know, like, don't go, you know, I'm not saying that you should go around and go, oh my God, this is the greatest person ever, you know, because that's not going to happen. You know, but, you know, if you are poor, the most realistic way, I don't even know where my cattle went. You are probably in a microcosm of a universe. You were taught to be poor by poor people. You probably were. You were taught to be a moron by morons. And now you are a moron, and you are more or less going to be stuck that way forever. I'm telling you, you probably are. By the time you become poor, I mean, it's usually you're a massive pile of problems. You have a massive pile of problems, and you can't move your BS pile with you. You can't move it, you can't shake it, because, you know, your pile of BS is so extensively large that you can't move it. And if you're poor, the most realistic chance that you have of not becoming poor is to look at rich people. And if you genuinely just hate my guts, right? If you genuinely hate my guts and you go, oh my God, you know, I don't care that this guy makes $20,000 a month. I don't really care. You know, I don't agree with anything that he's saying, and I don't agree with, whatever it may be. Then go and find a rich person. Go and find somebody who is actually extremely rich, and also that you believe is a halfway decent person. Because if they're extremely rich and you believe that they're a halfway decent person and you're wanting to learn from them, then go and learn from them. You know, but don't go and learn from poor people. If you go and learn from poor people, that poorness will rub off on you. You will become stuck in a microcosm of a universe where you are surrounded by poor people, and then now you are more or less becoming like them. So go and find a rich person. Go and find a rich person that you believe is a halfway decent person, and then figure out what they're doing. Right? I mean, you know, and I'm not saying this to sound like a prick, but I mean, when it comes to farming, you know, legitimately, when it comes to farming, I'm like in the 1 in a 10 million type skill range. I mean, you might not ever find a farmer that is as good as me for the entirety of your life. For the entirety of your existence, you might not ever find a farmer that is as good as me at farming. You know, when it comes to farming, I've already said, you know, I've already said this repeatedly too, but if you wake up tomorrow and you think, oh my God, I can go and do this, you can't. And if you genuinely believe you can, then you are an I fell out of heaven to 7. And if you tried, you're going to fail. And then you could be in a situation where you hemorrhage money. I'm telling you, you could end up hemorrhaging money. I mean, you could end up losing, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over a long period of time. You could. And, you know, and you could end up genuinely losing a massive amount of money to the point where it actually causes problems for your family. You have no retirement, or you're broke. And, you know, and I don't want to sound like a prick, but, you know, I've already said this too. I've said this 5,000 times. You should not be trying to do what I'm doing. You should not be trying to do what I'm doing. I mean, chances are you're not going to be able to do it. This took me 15 years and I work 7 days a week. You're not going to be able to do it. I mean, I don't, as of right now, you can't do it. I mean, if you okay, here's the thing is that, you know, by the time that you are the massive pile of problems that you are, I'm just, you know, most of you are gonna, I'm telling you, if there are 1,000 of you watching this video, or 500, or whatever it may be, let's say 750, or that's too difficult of a number, let's just say 1,000. Let's say 1,000 of you are watching this video. 800 of you, I'm telling you, 800 of you are going to end up in one of these 3 categories. You may not realize it yet because you're younger, or you may be older, and you already reckon, and nobody's ever, you know, you've been essentially just been fiddle farting around in La La Land, and you haven't ever taken a good hard look at it. But you are either in this situation as of right now, or you are headed for this, and you do not know it. You are gonna, if there are 1,000 of you watching this video, 800 of you are gonna end up in one of these 3 categories. You are broke, you have no money, you have no retirement, or you legitimately are so poor that it is causing problems with your family. Legitimately, you will end up in one of these 3 situations. And number 3, in all honesty, you'll probably also end up getting divorced. Because, I mean, you know, if you're one step away from being a bum, then, I mean, it, you know, if you're, you know, I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, how are you going to have a family if you don't have money? I mean, and if making an extra $1,000, an extra $2,000 a month would do something drastically good for your family, then you should go and do something drastically good for your family, which is making some extra money, right? I mean, if making an extra $1,000, an extra $2,000 a month is going to drastically improve the quality of your family life, then you should go and make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. You should put in your efforts to doing it. You should. I mean, you know, it just is what it is. I mean, you know, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you are poor, and then, you know, you have a whole bunch of problems. You have a massive pile of problems, and now you can't do any, you know. And I mean, you don't want, by the time that has happened, it's already too late. I mean, if you turned on a dime, it would be a miracle, you know. And if you are, I'm serious, if you are truly disgusted about what, you know, if you look at me and you go, oh my God, you know, he makes $20,000 a month, oh my God, you know, oh my God, you know, I absolutely cannot, you know, stand what he has to say. I don't care that he's being honest or whatever it may be. Oh my God, you know, but what about my La La Land adventure? Then, you know, go and find somebody else. You know, I don't care. You could die tomorrow. You know, I honestly wouldn't even know. If there are 1,000 of you watching my video, and, you know, 1 of you drop dead tomorrow, or 10 of you drop dead tomorrow, or 100 of you drop dead tomorrow, I wouldn't even know. Realistically, I wouldn't, right? I mean, that's how this works. I mean, it's YouTube. How would I know? You know, your opinions are not going to get me paid. I'm getting paid regardless. Like, let's say there's 1,000 of you watching my video right now, and 100 of you are just absolutely disgusted with me. Oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. Oh my God, I can't believe every single inch of the way you are just going, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. Oh my God, you know, what about my La La Land adventure? I still made my money. I'm still getting paid. I still made about $20,000. I made just over $20,000 over the last 46 days. And that's how much cash I brought home. I still have assets that are appreciating. And if I needed more cash, I could liquidate them. And I have appreciated them to a value where they are actually worth more now than what I put into them. And so, you know, I mean, I'm going to get paid regardless. I'm getting paid regardless. And, you know, and just to put things in perspective, you know, over the last 46 days and all this, just over the last 46 days, I legitimately put about $7,000 of excess income in my bank account. I paid for my mortgage. I paid for my truck. I paid for my tractor. I paid for all of my bills. I paid for everything. And I still put about $7,000 away in my bank account. You know, over the last, that's just over the last 46 days. I got a new tractor, you know, I paid for all of my bills. I paid for everything. I bought everything that I could possibly ever want. And I still have $7,000 left over, just straight cash. And that's just over the last 46 days. You know, and if you run the numbers, you're gonna figure this out for yourself. You know, if you run the numbers, you know, I brought home a check on the first week of last month. It was $6 grand. I got paid my W-2 on the first week of last month. That was, you know, $3,200. I got paid on the first first week of this month. That was $3,200, and I got another lot of cattle coming that went to market. It's going to be just about 20 grand. I made just about 20 grand. And if it's only 93%, my cattle were over there chewing on the hay when I found my cattle. But the 10% that I'm incorrect is irrelevant. Let's say I would say, let's say I made $19,257. Does that really matter? I mean, it doesn't. If I made $19,257 instead of $20,000, the $775 is not going to be it. When we're talking about this large sum of money, it's irrelevant. I mean, it's just irrelevant. It is irrelevant. I mean, if I'm incorrect by 5%, what does it matter? If I'm incorrect by 4%, what does it matter? It doesn't, right? And so when I take a look at my bank account, even if I buy all replacement animals, even if I buy all my replacement animals and I pay for everything, I pay for my truck, I pay for my tractor, I pay for my mortgage, I paid for everything. I still have about $7,000 left over, and that's just over the last 46 days. I could legitimately go in, this is what I'm saying, within the next 2 or 3 months, I'll end up buying myself a new dually truck. I'm just going to go ahead and buy myself an F350, or excuse me, I'm going to buy myself a Ram 3500. The towing capacity, from my understanding, on a Ram 3500 is significantly like twice as high as an F350. And so I need to buy an F450. From my understanding, I need to buy an F450 to get the same towing capacity as a Ram 3500. And a Ram 3500 is a little bit cheaper than an F350. And so I'm going to buy myself a Ram 3500. I'm going to make sure that all of that is correct. And if because I need the towing capacity. If I can take 12 animals to market at a time instead of 4, that drastically increases the efficiency of my business. I now have a capacity to make a massive more sum of money. If I can take 12 to 16 animals to market at the same time, if I can take 25 animals to market at the same time instead of just taking 4 at a time, that drastically increases my earning capacity. I can make drastically more money if I do that. So if I buy myself a Ram 3500, I can write that off on my taxes, and I also increase my capacity to make more money. Because right now I got an F-150 and I take 4 animals to market at a time, and that's the maximum that I can do. 8 to 900 pound cattle, that's all that will fit in my trailer. But if I get myself a bigger trailer and a bigger truck, and I can start taking 20 animals to market at the same time, then I drastically increase my earning potential. My earning potential it skyrockets. And so, that's my big reason for buying a new truck. And, within, and let's say I had and you already know my business plan, right? I'm going to, if I had just, gone, but I mean, you already know the answer why I make the business plans the way that I do, and you already know the solution to the problems that have occurred. I've already told you the problems. I've already told you the answer. I'm going to raise the finishing weight of my animals. I'm going to raise the overall weight of my animals so that I get paid more per animal. I'm going to increase the margin on my animals because as of right now, I have practically unlimited amounts of animal feed. I have unlimited amounts of animal feed. I can legitimately raise these animals all to 1,000 pounds if I felt like it. I could legitimately raise every single one of these animals to 1,000 pounds. If I felt like it, I could do it. And it wouldn't cost me any more money. I just put them out on grass, and the grass is very high quality grass. They're eating about a 65% TDN, 12-14% diet. And, and if I really want to, confirm that, how do I confirm that? I check their poop, right? I check their manure. I look up the manure score, and I check their poop, right? I mean, it's that simple. And, and you can also, visually confirm that your animals are at a body conditioning score of 6 or higher. I mean, you can do that. You want your animals at a body conditioning score of 6 or 7. And the only way for them to go to a body conditioning score of 6 to 7, in other words, they are obese. The only way for you to do that is to put a significant amount of weight on them. They should be outgrowing their frames pretty significantly, and usually that occurs when they're gaining more than 2.75 pounds a day. Usually they'll have to gain about 3 pounds a day for them to go up on the conditioning score. And so when I look at my animals and I say, yeah, almost all of my animals, even as of right now, are at a body conditioning score of 6. Then I know they're putting on about 3 pounds a day or more, right? I mean, it's not rocket science. And if you want another way to gauge it instantaneously, like you want to check it right now, you want to see what's going through your animal, look at their poop, and look up manure score, and your animal's manure score should be at about a 3. On a scale from 1 to 5, your animal's manure score should be at a 3. And if you want to know what a manure score of 3 looks like on a scale from 1 to 5, go on the internet and look it up. The internet, the answer's already there, right? And so, you know, I mean, the answers are never going to change. If you are legitimately having so much difficulty remembering simple information, you should probably start writing this stuff down. And, you know, and at the end of the day, when you look at my farm, you have to understand that I make a drastic sum of money. It doesn't matter what you think. I legitimately make so much money that I could do whatever I want. I'm serious. It's that much money. Like once you start making, you know, once you start making like $20,000 a month, you can legitimately do whatever you want. You want to go and buy a new tractor, go for it. You want to buy new land, go for it. I'm not going to say you can do whatever you want, because if you decide, oh my God, I got $20,000 a month, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and do a whole bunch of drugs. Then you're going to lose all your money. I've already talked about this. You know, I even talked about this today. If you are legitimately in a situation where you have a massive amount of problems, and you don't solve the problems, you don't actually solve your problems, and you just find a way to make money, your problems will get worse, and then you will lose all your money. And so, you know, like if you listen to how I talk and the things that go through my mind and my ideas, and you know, you're going to understand what I mean. You know, to a large degree, within a reasonable boundary, I can do whatever I want, granted that I continue to run cattle. You know, if my goal in life is to legitimately just farm every single day for the rest of my life until I die, legitimately, I'm going to farm until I'm 150 years old. If that's what I want to do, if I make $20,000 a month, I can do that. I can do that. I can already do that. You know, if I want to go and buy more land, I'll go and buy more land. If I want to run more cattle, I'll run more cattle. If I want to buy a new truck, I'll buy a new truck. If I want to buy a new tractor, I'll buy a new tractor. And I'll still have thousands of dollars left over. Thousands of dollars every month. I mean, thousands of dollars every month. I'll still have money left over. You know, and it's a very reasonable thing to do, right? Running cattle is a very reasonable thing to do. It's not like I'm out here, you know, selling children. You know, I'm not out here like a human trafficking, right? I'm not out here human trafficking. You know, the beef is not going to fall out the sky. Somebody needs to do it, and you know, I get paid for feeding people. And there's a direct correlation between how much beef I produce and how much money's in my bank account. So if I have a large amount of money in my bank account, then that's a very good thing, because the only reason that I get to have a large amount of money in my bank account is because I feed a lot of people, right? I mean, the answer is the same as it was, you know, the answer is the same today as it was a month ago, as it was a year ago, as it was 15 months ago, as it was 2 years ago. The answer is not going to change. And if the answer changes, I will legitimately let you know. But as of right now, that is the, you know, and as of right now, until further notice, into possibly into infinity and beyond, that is the answer. You know, I make money because I feed people. I make money because I feed people, and I'm extremely good at this. I mean, I'm not saying this to sound like a prick, but I may be the best farmer that you ever see your entire life, and it might not even get close. It might not even get close. You might not even find anybody who gets to the 10% mark of what I do. You may legitimately not. I mean, it would be a miracle if they get to the 10% mark. Anybody. I may legitimately, by a landslide, be the best farmer that you ever see in your entire life. It might not ever, you might legitimately, even if you live to be 150 years old, you might not find a single person even getting to the 10% mark. That is the drastic amount of difference. You know, most people cannot even make 10% of the money that I do. Most people cannot even make $1,500 a month. Most people cannot even make $2,000 a month on a 10-acre field. They can't even get close. Most people can't. And I'm talking about even farmers can't do that. Most farmers can't, even if they, you know, most farmers can't do that. So I may genuinely be the best farmer that you, objectively speaking, I may be the best farmer you ever see in your entire life. By a landslide, I might be. And if you absolutely disgustingly hate me, if you look at me and you go, oh my God, you know, oh my God, you know, whatever, right? Whatever it is that you've chosen that you dislike me about, then get better at me. You know, get better than me. That, you know, that's the solution. Don't sit there and go, I can't believe, you know, I can't believe that, you know, he does so well for himself, and whatever it may be, you know, whatever pathetic excuse you've come up with, you know, the solution to your problem is to get better than me. If you legitimately disgustingly hate me, you go, oh my God, you know, I can't imagine, you know, I can't whatever, right? You just absolutely hate my guts. Then the answer for that is to get better than me. Don't sit there and self-sabotage yourself and then say that you don't like me, because then now you're a failure. You're just failing, right? I mean, now you're kind of a pathetic failure. I mean, if you legitimately just absolutely hate my guts, then get better than me. right? I mean, that's the solution. If you absolutely disgustingly hate me and you go, oh my God, you know, it doesn't matter that he's you know, maybe the best farmer that I've ever seen in my entire existence. Nobody's even gotten close. You know, he legitimately makes like $20,000 a month on a 10-acre field. And, you know, and if you just absolutely disgustingly hate every single thing about me, then get better than me. That's the solution. Don't sit there and self-sabotage yourself. You know, don't ruin your own life. Don't ruin your own life and then go, oh, well, you know, because that's not the answer. You know, if you ruin your own life because you disgustingly hate me, what does, you know, like me, you know, I'm not gonna get a kick out of it. I'm not gonna enjoy that you ruined yourself. I'm not gonna, you know, and on the other hand, I'm also not gonna care. You know, if you drop dead tomorrow, I don't care. On the other hand, that is the other side of the equation. You know, if you ruin your own life, I'm not gonna get a kick out of it. I'm not gonna enjoy it. But I'm also not going to care that even if you died tomorrow, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't even know. You know, if you died tomorrow, I wouldn't even know. And, you know, my life would go right on as it was. I would just continue exactly on the way that I'm going. But if you disgustingly hate me, you know, if you look at me and you absolutely hate my guts and everything that I have to say, and, you know, and then get better than me. Then get better than me. I mean, if you get better than me, that's the solution to your problem. And if you try and get better than me and you actually find out how difficult this is, then maybe you'll start to understand, right? I mean, this is almost impossible. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, I'm telling you, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible, and you won't understand that unless you try. You know, making $20,000 a month on a 10-acre field is ridiculously hard. I mean, you're not going to understand that unless you go out of your way and try. You're not going to understand it. And then when you actually go out and try, you're going to then you'll begin to understand. Oh my God, this guy actually, you know, this guy actually did something with himself. He actually became a somebody. You know, he's not some worthless bum, you know, one foot away from becoming a bum. You know, he became somebody, right? He became one of the, if not the best cattleman that the world has ever seen. He got very close to the top, if not the best, right? I mean, and legitimately, you know, just because, you know, the way the world works is that, you know, throughout your entire life, you will maybe meet about 1,000 people that you actually take a good hard look at. You may meet 1,000 people throughout the entirety of your life. And this is what I mean by, you know, like people like me. You know, I'm sure that there is somebody out there that is, you know, better than me at certain aspects at farming, right? I mean, like I've always said that dairy guys are probably better than me at running cattle. You know, if you got like a corn farmer, you know, well, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, you know, but farming is not just hay and cattle. I'm just in the hay and cattle business, right? I mean, you got corn farmers, you got all sorts of farmers, soybean farmers, you got dairy farmers. I mean, you got farmers all over the place. They farm whatever, you know, there's all sorts of farmers, and, you know, there are people that specialize in things like that. But me in particular, I'm a cattleman, and I grow cattle. I run cattle and I grow hay. You know, that is the thing that I do. And I do it in a particular area of Texas called Central Texas. This is, you know, if I was not here in this area, I could not have done this. You know, I could not have done this. You know, I could not have done this unless I was here in this part of the world, in this exact, more or less this exact area. Somewhere in this area, if I was not in this area, I could not have done this. It just would not have happened. And so, you know, but I mean, it just is what it is. Let's just take a look at the facts for what they are. Most people will not even be, if you actually went out of your way and you tried to do what I do, and I've already told you that you can't do it. If you woke up tomorrow and you tried to do it, you would, and you legitimately believed that you could do it, you are likely in the I fell out of heaven a 7 mindset. And if you are in the I fell out of heaven a 7 mindset, you are the greatest risk to your business. You yourself are the greatest risk to your business, because if you are in the I fell out of heaven a 7 mindset and you start a business because you genuinely believe that you can do it, you have convinced yourself that you are a 7 and that you just fell out of heaven that way, you are going to lose all your money. You're going to lose all your money, and then it's going to be like, oh, well, and then, you know, one of the 3 categories: you're broke, you have no retirement, or your family is having problems because you are so poor. I mean, you know, it just is what it is. Let's take a look at it for what it is, right? And let's just be honest. And, you know, but I don't get a kick out of saying this. After a certain point, for most people, it's too late. For most people, it is too late. If you turned on a dime tomorrow, it would be a miracle. It doesn't matter. You know, Well, it does matter, and you know, I genuinely, sincerely hope that you find a way to do something for yourself, because if you just suffer and you just you know, turn into a pathetic wimp, if you legitimately just turn into a pathetic person your entire life, what good do I get from that? I don't get any sort of benefit. I would sincerely hope that you find a better way and do better for yourself. I sincerely hope so. You know, from the bottom of my heart, that's the one thing you're going to get from me. I genuinely hope that you do succeed. I'm not sitting around hoping that you fail. I'm not a pathetic person. I already make so much money that I can do whatever I want. I make a ballistic sum of money. You know, I can legitimately do whatever I want. And you know, when I go to that 50-acre field and I increase my cash flow, I'm gonna make so much money. I mean, legitimately, I'm probably gonna make close to $50,000 every single month. And you know, even right now, when I'm making $20,000, I legitimately have so much money that I can do whatever I want. Even as of right this moment, I can do whatever I want. I mean, I have so much money, I can do whatever I want. And so, but that's the thing you're gonna get from me. That's the one thing you will get from me, is that I sincerely hope that you do find a better way for yourself. I sincerely do hope that you do succeed in your life. If you turn out to be a pathetic bum, I'm not going to get anything from that. I don't benefit from that in any way. I don't. And that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.